Tonight on Sooner Sports Pad, our analysts break down the game of the century, plus the hottest plays from last Saturday. And OU golfer Logan McAllister joins us in studio. All that and more coming up next.
Welcome to Studio D on the campus of the University of Oklahoma. This is Sooner Sports Pad, brought to you by OU Health. And now, here's your host, Abbi Bennett.
Alyse and Audrey, Goodson, how are y'all feeling?
Super excited for the show tonight.
I am ready to talk some Sooner sports with you. The Nebraska Cornhuskers clinched the game of the century back in 1971 against the Sooners 35-31. Now on Saturday marked the 50th anniversary of this historic matchup, and it was the Sooners who took home the dub 23-16. The first half started out slow, which was the lowest scoring first half by the Sooners since they scored 3 points through 2 quarters against Ohio State in 2017. Spencer Rattler and the offense looked shaky with just 1 touchdown through halftime, but they would pick it up and rely heavily on their run game, with Audrey and Kennedy Brooks tallying 159 combined yards. The offensive performance was among the worst since Lincoln Riley arrived as offensive coordinator. Now, it was a defensive game on both sides of the ball for the red teams, but OU did shut down Adrian Martinez with not 3, not 4, but 5 sacks and 1 interception. Now, Alyse and Audrey, I want to know what Sooners stood out to you most on Saturday.
You know, it's no secret OU's offense really struggled. It was not their greatest performance. They had a really hard time finding their rhythm in the first half, but like you said, after halftime when they came back, there was a clear change, and that is that they started relying on their running backs. That's why my player of the week isn't 1, but 2 players, Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray. Eric Gray ran for 84 yards on 15 carries, while Kennedy Brooks added 75 yards on 14 attempts for the Sooners. Late in the fourth, when Oklahoma was clearly trying to run the clock to keep their lead, the running back core had some incredible breakaways. There was a lot of doubt going into this season about what the OU running backs would look like and if they would still be a major threat on offense, but the performances from Gray and Brooks on Saturday can combat any doubt you might have, because this game was proof that the OU running game is here to stay.
The OU defense did a really good job at containing Nebraska's quarterback, Adrian Martinez. And you know what that's largely due to? Nick Bonito. Let me tell you about it. Martinez has an elite scrambling ability. And in 2 games so far this season, he's rushed for over 100 yards. But Bonito said no, not today. And he did a really good job making sure that didn't happen this weekend. And he finished the game with just 34 rushing yards. But let's get down to the good stuff. Bonito had 2 sacks and 5 tackles. His last takedown sealed the deal in the Sooners' win, sacking Martinez on 3rd and 11 with just over 10 seconds left in the game. Now let's talk about a clutch player right there.
Oh, for sure. I love that y'all talked on the offense and the defense. That game was a fun one to watch. But now let's send it over to Madison Daddario to touch on her top 3 plays of the week.
This weekend's game was filled with a ton of memorable moments, but here are my top 3 plays of the weekend.
Starting out at number 3, we have Rattler to Williams, back to Rattler, and finally into Mims' hands for a 30-yard reception and a first down for the Sooners. And at number 2, Isaiah Coe blocks the Cornhuskers' extra point, and Pat Fields takes the ball to the house for a 100-yard, 2-point conversion and what felt like the turning point for the Sooners. Finally, of course, at number 1, we have DJ Graham's absolutely insane one-handed interception that left fans and even Spencer Rattler's jaw on the floor.
That's all I have for our top 3. Back to you guys.
We couldn't stop talking about DJ Graham's pick of the century just yet, so let's toss it over to this week's Crimson Critique to hear from head coach Lincoln Riley and from DJ Graham about what he had to say about his one-handed catch.
I'm the first coach in the history of college football to challenge a play that we got an interception on, because we were watching a replay and we thought it juggled around, and I literally walked over to the official and I might have challenged it, and then he said that they had 100% confirmed it up there. So, yeah, I was hoping it would have gone down. But what a play. I mean, just a phenomenal play. But he's got great ball skills. I mean, we've seen him make catches like that in practice, so it was huge, but it wasn't like something that we had never seen.
I committed to the inside release, and he threw a pass up, and it just happened. I can't really explain it. I just tried to catch it.
Now that's all the time we have for right now, but when we return, we're going to catch up with Logan McAllister on OU men's golf. Plus, we're going to dive deep into the OU-Nebraska matchup. Welcome back to Sooner Sports Pad. And Sooner Sports Pad's Dylan Rivera caught up with senior Logan McAllister on OU men's golf, not to mention who is the current Carmel Cup champion. Let's hear what he had to say.
Thanks, Abby. I'm here with the 18th ranked amateur golfer in the world and the current Carmel Cup champion, Logan McAllister. Logan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dylan. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Let's talk some golf. You ready to talk some golf?
I'm ready.
All right. Obviously, you won that Carmel Cup championship. I just mentioned it. But you got really hot late, and you birdied 3 of the last 4 holes. What's going through your mind when everything's rolling like that and you're just hot and everything's going your way?
I think it's almost what's not going through your mind. You're not thinking about all the trouble that's out there, because there is quite a bit on those last 4 holes, which were the crucial part to winning it. So I got into a zone where I wasn't really thinking at all. And when you get into that zone, it's kind of fun just because you're hardly ever in that zone in golf. You're always thinking about something. So to be able to do that and get it done was awesome.
Then hole 18, you need to sink a 30-footer to send it to a playoff. Walk me through that putt.
Yeah, we got up there, and I kind of messed the hole up, but I ended up giving myself a halfway decent look for birdie. And Coach was up there, and he'd been with the groups in front of me, and there was a couple guys that had the same putt, and so he was able to give me a good read. And I knew that if I just put a good stroke on it, that it at least had a chance to go in. I wasn't necessarily expecting it to go in, but right when it came off the face, it looked pretty good, and it just trickled in at the last second. We had a nice little embrace with him and my caddy, which was cool.
That's awesome. Give it a chance. That's what they always say, right? And you gave it a chance, and it happened to fall in. Obviously, the Carmel Cup Championship is played at the legendary Pebble Beach Golf Links. What was it like being on that prestigious course?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we start our year out there every year, and we get to spend 4 days in golf paradise, basically. And the 2 years that I've played, we've had perfect weather, 65 and sunny when it's been 95 back at home. So to get to do that right out of the gates is an experience that I hope I never take for granted. And I know that's something that we get to do here at OU is play some really cool courses, and that's definitely at the top of the list.
All right, and then for this season, looking for redemption as a team. You guys got to that championship stage last year. What's it going to take to get back there and then this time finish on top?
Yeah, I think we just need to keep doing what we're doing, just day in, day out, put time in, grow closer to each other, because it is a team effort. Even though golf's kind of an individual sport, you have to spend a week just fighting for each other, because the national championship's a long week, and you got to fight through a lot of tough times, and you do that together. And I know we'll be ready for it, and hopefully we'll put ourselves back in that final match and get it done this time.
All right, I told you before we did this that I had a fun question for you. I just kind of want to see what your answer would be. What's your favorite club in your bag?
Putter, for sure.
Your putter?
That's definitely my favorite club. I feel like the best moments in my golf career have come with my putter, so that might not be a popular answer, but it's definitely putter.
Wow, I'm an 8-iron guy myself, but my 8-iron probably doesn't fly as well as yours. You'll have to work out my swing. I got a very out-to-in swing, so you can teach me how to hit the ball properly. All right, well, thanks for doing this for us, Logan. Congratulations on the Carmel Cup Championship, and good luck to you at the Nike Collegiate Invitational that's coming up. And once again, thanks for doing this with us.
Now, getting back to the OU-Nebraska game, Audrey, it wasn't the first time these two teams had seen each other on the field, was it?
Yeah, Abby, the Battle of the Big Reds goes way back. This week I had a chance to catch up with some OU media legends to hear their take on the rivalry throughout the years.
At last, the day has arrived. The game that everybody has been talking about for the past 6 weeks in college football.
From 1963 to 2010, OU and Nebraska combined to win the Big 8 and the Big 12 44 times. Two schools absolutely dominating a league.
You could go into any specific season and say, hey, that's the game everybody's circling.
The history starts in 1940 when Nebraska went to the Rose Bowl under former OU head coach Biff Jones. After 1940, Nebraska took a big dip with just 3 winning seasons over the next 21 years. Meanwhile, the Sooners were dominating under Bud Wilkinson, setting records and winning 13 straight conference titles.
And in 1962 is when the series changed. Nebraska hired Bob Devaney. And Bob Devaney was a coach at the University of Wyoming. He was from Michigan, and he came to Lincoln and built a fabulous program. Went to a bowl game the first year, then won 4 straight conference titles. That was in a time when OU was sort of struggling.
In 1967, the Sooners brought in Chuck Fairbanks, turning the program back around. By 1970, they were both superpowers.
The Huskers won national titles in 70 and 71. The game of the century, of course, in 1971, the 50-year anniversary of what we've been celebrating. And then with the Oklahoma Wishbone, the Sooners took off.
Although the Sooners lost that game, it built respect between the programs that lasts to this day.
It was well played. People in this part of the country still talk about it. And I think even people nationally look back in history and see that this was one of the great college football games of all time, played by 2 terrific but respected rivals.
For the next 20 years, both programs dominated. The November tradition often decided who would win the conference and ultimately compete for a national championship. But that all changed when OU fell off in the 90s, and the Big 12 Conference split up into divisions. The programs no longer played on an annual basis. In 2010, the Huskers left the Big 12, and the series died.
It's a shame because great rivalries are what make college football.
Sorry for those technical difficulties, but when we come back, we're going to see Audrey and Alyse face off. Get into it. All right, first question. Who do y'all think the biggest competition is for OU in the Big 12?
You know, I think overall the Big 12 is actually pretty soft this year. I know West Virginia just had a big win against Virginia Tech. Texas might give Oklahoma a run for their money in the Cotton Bowl here in a few weeks, but the obvious answer is the team that tripped up Oklahoma last year and found themselves against the Sooners in the Big 12 championship. That's Iowa State. I know. They are sky-high expectations for the Cyclones this year. Here's a few reasons why Iowa State should not be ignored or underestimated. First off, head coach Matt Campbell. There are very few reasons why I think Campbell is still in Ames, but I would bet that one of those reasons is he knows his team is capable of clinching a Big 12 championship. Not to mention, nearly the entire roster for Iowa State is back from last season, and we saw the potential of that team last year. They beat Oklahoma by 7, came back and fell by only 6 points in the Big 12 championship. Some people may take their early season loss against a rival and use that against them, but we know that they have a lot of potential future NFL players, All-Americans, and I don't know, I think that there's really no other competition that could trip up Oklahoma the way Iowa State could.
Well, respect. But like we saw last weekend when Nebraska came into town, it's really difficult to beat one of your rivals, especially when it comes down to the end of the season in November. So I know OSU is also really upset by OU's decision to move to the SEC without them. And I think they're going to come out super hungry in that Bedlam battle. Now, I know they haven't won any of their games super convincingly so far, but they are 3-0. And Alyse, you mentioned West Virginia beating Virginia Tech this weekend. Impressive, but I do think they could cause some trouble, but we have them at home in September. I feel like the Cowboys always sneak up on us in that end of season matchup in November, and it just causes us a bunch of trouble. So I think the Cowboys could sneak up on us at the end of the year.
I definitely think the Cowboys and the Cyclones will be big competitors, but what about West Virginia? What do y'all think for this weekend?
After what happened last weekend, you never know, so.
Okay. All right, next question. Audrey, I want to know, what teams do you see in the World Series?
So I think we're going to have a repeat of last year's World Series with the Tampa Bay Rays and the LA Dodgers. So let me tell you why. The Dodgers are stacked. Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, Cody Bellinger, just some stars to name a few. They're one of the deepest teams in the major leagues and have arguably one of the best rotations. They have the second best record in the league right now at 96-54, just behind the Giants in their very own division who have 97 wins. Now the Rays have the next best record in all of baseball with 92 wins, and they're the best in the American League. In a year when the AL isn't quite as strong as it has been, I think they have a really deep roster. It's going to make them a really competitive team. And you know, with just around 2 weeks left in the regular season before the playoffs, both teams are playing really well at a time when it's really important.
Well, I think the odds are definitely in the Dodgers' favor for a back-to-back title, but I want to see a team that you might not expect, the Chicago White Sox. Now, I'm going to sit and argue for the White Sox for just a second. Their odds have been looking pretty good, so listen to this. I'll keep it short and sweet. The White Sox hold the biggest division lead in the MLB, mainly because they're the only AL Central team with a positive run differential. Now, like Audrey said, the Dodgers roster is stacked. They added new pitchers. They're still sitting at the top. I definitely expect to see them. I know they're the clear favorite, but I would love to see the Chicago White Sox come sneak in on them and maybe have a chance.
All right, we'll see how it pans out in 2 weeks. But all right, next, give me y'all's viral videos.
All right, so I saw this play in person. I know we've seen a little bit of it tonight. I'm sure you've already seen it online, and I'm assuming that your reaction had to have been the same as mine. Absolute shock at the athleticism of DJ Graham. Now, there was a former Sooner standing on the sideline. Trey Young here, hanging out, watching the game in his Kelly jersey, of course. He flips the camera to show you the catch of the weekend. DJ Graham, one-handed interception. And here it is in slow motion for you to see the absolute athleticism of this catch. I mean, Rattler, jaw on the ground. The crowd went wild. Trey Young was impressed. No wonder the internet blew up with this play, and that's why it's my viral video this week.
Now, Alyse, we both have some former Sooners in our viral videos this week, but mine's now in an SMU jersey. Tanner Mordecai. Let's check out this Hail Mary. No time left on the clock? Well, that's not a problem. Just check this out. Throws it back 33 yards. Oh my gosh, what? Okay, let's check it out in slow motion. He rolls left, launches it. Let's just see, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. And now it's up in the air, and what's going to happen? Reggie Robertson Jr. and SMU is going to win the game 39-37, and Tanner Mordecai just played amazing. 5 TDs on the day.
I love that y'all both picked Sooners for the viral videos. Love to see it. All right, audience, now it's time to vote. If you liked Alyse's video, give it up. All right, love the energy. If you liked Audrey's, give it up. All right, Audrey, I'm going to give you this one this time. Audrey's our viral video and face-off winner this week. All right, now when we return, I'm going to give you all the Sooner sports to watch for. Plus, we're going to see if our analysts are knowledgeable. On Thursday, OU soccer will travel to Lubbock to face the Red Raiders. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. And on Friday, women's tennis will compete in the fall-ranked invite at home. Also on Friday, Sooner volleyball will begin their 2-game series at 5 p.m. against the West Virginia Mountaineers, and their second matchup will be the following day in Morgantown. Also on Saturday, Sooner football will face West Virginia at the Palace. Kickoff is at 6:30. All right, now it's time for some OU trivia, so let's see which one of our analysts know most about OU. All right, first question. What is the longest winning streak in OU football history?
47.
Correct! Yes! Okay, Audrey's 1-0. Okay, next question. Who was OU's 1988 opponent when they rushed for team record of 768 yards? Got any guesses?
Texas.
Wrong.
Baylor?
Wrong again. I'll say their colors have purple in them.
Kansas State.
Oh, Kansas State.
Well, she clicked the button.
I hit the buzzer. I hit the buzzer.
We're going to give it to Alyse. All right, 1-1. Let's keep it up. All right, next question. Who holds the OU record for individual rushing yards in a game?
Samaje Perine.
Correct. Okay, Alyse on fire. answer streak. All right, 2-1. Next question. How many times did Adrian Peterson rush for at least 100 yards during his freshman season?
14.
Wrong.
Higher or lower?
Lower.
11.
Yes, correct. Okay. 3-1. So Alyse is our analyst who's most knowledgeable for OU trivia. We love it. We love it. All right. Well, thank you for watching Sooner Sports Pad.